Don't look now, but the featherweight division is filling right back up with some good young fighters on their way up. One of the emerging talents, Charles Air Jourdain, put on a great show at UFC Fight Night 187. Why he will be worth the price of admission to watch, and what is next for him. Welcome back, bow throwers. I'm Jose, and this is the breakout session, Jose's Watch List. During these segments, me, Jose, I will highlight one fighter to keep an eye out for, somebody you may want to jump on the hype train early, buy that ticket while it's cheap, and watch that stock grow. So this way you can sell at its highest peak. Let's take care of some business first, though, before we move on. Please like our work below. Should be a button somewhere. Just, yep, like that button. Also, please subscribe to our channel. Should be a little bell. There may be some animation there. It may be ringing. Please hit that bell. Subscribe to our channel. We appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. So with that, let's just jump right into it. So Charles Air Jourdain's, great name by the way, start in the UFC was a rocky one. In his first 4 fights, he was 2-2. He came over from the TKO promotion, so he didn't just jump off. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Jourdain is 4-0 with 4 finishes, 2 submissions, 2 knockouts, or 3 spectacular knockouts. It has been rocky. He's definitely not had the easiest transition into the UFC. He's had some tough fights. I think that those make some of the young fighters even better, though. It's okay to go through some trials when you first come in to try to figure out who you are. Jumping promotions can be extremely tough. And let's just go ahead and say this. UFC is the toughest league for fighters. It is where, if you're trying to make your name in MMA, you want to go. It is where all the best fighters in the world are right now. You have Russians, you have Mexicans, you have Brazilians, you have Americans, you have Canadians, you have you're starting to see Africans, you're starting to get Chinese. The best fighters around the world are coming into the UFC. And so when you want to say that you are one of the best mixed martial artists in the world, you have to go to the UFC. Some folks, it just works for them. It just clicks, and they will start out and they'll go on a 5-0 tear, or they'll go on a 6-0 tear on their way. But not everyone's John Bones Jones. Not everybody has it like that. Not everybody just comes in and sets the world on fire. Some guys take a little bit longer time to get their footing. So if you're looking at Jourdain and you say he was 2-2, in his first 4 fights, yes, but that doesn't mean that there's not talent there. You shouldn't throw the baby out with the bathwater. But on top of the 2-2, he also, there was a 5th fight that went to a draw. He was supposed to have a 6th fight, and that was being canceled. Well, it hadn't been canceled. Basically, he was supposed to fight Steven Garcia in this fight. Garcia had to withdraw, and Rojo stepped in. So there's been in his first fights, there's been some moving around already, and Jourdain is going to be able to take from this what he will. 2 losses, a draw, already opponent withdrawing, and then having to take up on a new opponent. But that's UFC life, especially in COVID times. So coming into Saturday night's fight with Marcelo Rojo, Jourdain seemed to be reinvigorated. It didn't, his last fight was a draw. Steven Garcia had to withdraw out of this one. He was 2-2 before that in the fight in his 4 other fights, having had lost 2. So you could forgive Jourdain if he felt a little bit of pressure. There had to have been some pressure. 2-2 and a draw in your first 5 is not something that really sets the world on fire. So, but Coach Bertrand of Academy Pro Star, where Jourdain fights out of, he had him ready. Let's be honest. He was supposed to be fighting Garcia. He got Rojo instead. Due to Garcia withdrawing, and he looked good. He looked up for the challenge. Now, basically, what ends up happening is that if you didn't get a chance to watch the fight, when they first got in, they looked like mirror images of each other. It was a good thing that they had some differentiating tattoos, because it was one of those things where, that old Sesame Street song, one of these things is not like another. You had to use the tattoos to try to do that, because they looked very similar. Some of their stances was a little similar, and as soon as the fight started, you knew this could be interesting, because both these guys look like mirror images of each other. So the first round starts. It's kind of going back and forth, and Rojo gets a takedown in the last minute. And so you kind of think, okay, well, if it was close before, Rojo gets a takedown in the first round, you probably give Rojo that first round. And then the second round comes about. It's another back and forth. It is keeping this pace that is just like, I don't know if these guys can keep it up. They are going back and forth. They're keeping a pace. The strikes are coming fluidly. It's really a really amazing pace. But again, these are the paces that 145-pound guys can keep. As you get as you get higher in the weight classes, starting with the middleweights and the light heavyweights and the heavyweights in particular, everybody of course loves one punch knockout power, but that pace sometimes is lacking. For folks that say, I want a guy to get in there and just throw punches by bunches, this was definitely your fight. So if you did not get a chance to watch this fight, and you're going to hit your Fight Pass, or you're going to hit whatever you're going to hit to watch this on ESPN Plus, you definitely want to watch this one. So you know how ESPN Plus will break out the fights. You want to watch this Jourdain. You want to watch this Jourdain Rojo fight. So Rojo won the first. It's getting really close to the second. Rojo lands this. He's landing some combinations. He's putting them together. And then what ends up happening is that Jourdain throws this flying knee and then goes on this. I'm exaggerating, of course, but maybe I'm not. But he goes on this 21 combo, just combination. He puts it together. He throws this knee. He's going off, and you say, in my mind, I say to myself, it's 1-1 at the end of the second, going into the third. Jourdain's corner comes in, and listen, rightfully so. This is a fighter that was 2-2, has a draw. They cannot afford to leave it in the judges' hands, and I don't blame his coach for seeing the second, possibly believing that your fighter won the second round, knowing that he more than likely lost the first, and saying it's 1-1. I can tell him it's 1-1. And what is that going to do to him? As opposed to telling him, you need to finish this fight. You are down. And so he gets it in Jourdain's head that, hey, you're down 2-0. You need to move on. Now, that doesn't mean that as Jourdain moves on and gets possibly bigger fights with bigger names, that if it's 1-1, that's necessarily the same message. And I do not believe that if he thought he was up 2-0, that he would give him that same message either. That's not what I'm saying at all. But what I am saying is that that was the perfect message. I think that the coaches knew exactly what he needed to hear. They knew their fighter. They knew that this was the time. They couldn't leave it to chance. Again, he was 2-2 with a draw. So in his first 5 fights, so not really setting the world on fire. And they needed something to try to say, hey, you're going to want to keep assigning us. So they come out in the third round, and you can tell that his corner was able to light a fire under Jourdain's ass. So he comes in and he lands this big right, and it puts Rojo on the floor. Kudos to Rojo right here, though. He was game. He's trying to get up. He's trying to fight. Rojo he's trying to get back up. You could tell he's shook. You could tell that Jourdain obviously knows he needs the fight, but fighters are dangerous when they're hurt. So he's approaching it very smart. He's trying to get him out of there, but he's trying to do it in a way that he doesn't get hurt too, or possibly tagged, because Rojo is still throwing bullets back at him. What I really think that helped Jourdain out is that he understood that I need to get this guy out of here, but I've hurt him early enough in the round that let me not take away my body shot. I'm going to still deliver to the body, see if I can bring those hands down. So then this way, I can get some I can get some head strikes in if needs be. And kudos to him. He was able to knock down. He was able to knock down Rojo eventually, and Mark Smith had to step in and stop the fight. So that was, kudos to him. He was able to get the fight the way that he needed to do it. I think that he showed an array of rushing to try to finish the fight, but also having the savvy enough to know I also cannot just throw caution to the wind and get caught, because Rojo was going to put him on his ass if he just went in. So at the end, the final details, not that it mattered, but the final details was there was a huge amount of volume. Jourdain ended up throwing 248 strikes. Rojo ended up throwing 211 strikes. And so out of that, Jourdain, out of the 248, 220 were significant strikes. So Jourdain is going to, if you want fireworks, he's going to keep it on the feet. This video is about Jourdain, but what I will say is I also think that we learned something about Rojo too. I think that he fought a game Jourdain, But let's not take anything away from Marcelo Rojo either. He stepped in. He was not originally supposed to be Jourdain's opponent, and he came in and he put on a show. I think that if it's only fair that if we're going to talk about Jourdain, we should talk about somebody that looks like his mirror image. I personally like these types of fighters. I like these guys that are scrappers. They'll go in high volume. It's the reason why I like the featherweights. It's the reason why I like the bantamweights. It's the reason why I like the flyweights. I like to see the high volume. I like to see the guys get active. That's me. Of course, you don't have to like that. Maybe you like the heavyweights. Maybe you like the guy that's going to knock the other guy out in one punch. And there's nothing wrong with that. You can like that as well. I'm speaking for me personally. When I was a boxing fan, I love the welterweights. It was just something about the 45s, the 54s. Those guys, they had the pop. They could finish the fight, but they could also throw volume too. And so that's a me thing. So I am high on Jourdain because he fights as a featherweight the way I like my featherweights to fight. So that's a me thing, and I will admit that. So what's left for Jourdain, or not left, but what's next for Jourdain? So um, Bruce Leroy, Alex Caceres, he has been putting a 4-win fight streak together recently. He fought February 27th. I think that if you put them together in June, you let them both get a camp. June could be a right time for Jourdain. We will have to wait and see. It was a little bit of a brutal fight. I don't think there should be more than about 3 months. If he's going to get if he has to have a period of no fighting, between fights. I don't a medical suspension. I don't think that Jourdain should have more than 3 months suspension. We'll see, but that could give him enough time to be ready for June. But we'll see what happens. But there's also another fighter that I think would do better for Jourdain as he continues to try to build on this momentum that he has, and I think that's Jared Flash Gordon. He fought on February 20th, so the layoff would also work for him as well. So you could also be getting a June, July, August area type fight, and that's what you're looking for. I mean, obviously, you can throw any name out there, but it's good to know that as when you're looking at fights, it's availability. If a fighter somehow just doesn't is in your weight class, but he doesn't end up being on your schedule, you're looking at different layoff times in between you fighting that person. So if Jourdain wants somebody, but that fighter doesn't fight for another 2 months, they're scheduled for a fight, but they don't fight for another 2 months, what's the turnaround time for that fight? So when you're looking at fighters, the other thing that doesn't get stressed enough, but that should start being stressed, is when did the people that they would like to fight, or when are the people that are around them, when are they fighting as well? Because they're usually, if you want to try to set up the fight and give them a camp, they need to be fighting around the same times. And so, that's something that always needs to be thought about. So Caceres and Gordon, I think that those would be two good fights. I think Caceres should be a good. I think that would be an interesting fight. I think the way that Caceres fights and the way that Jourdain fights, it wouldn't be the same as Rojo Jourdain was. It's not exactly mirror images. It should just be an exciting fight. But also the Gordon fight will also be very exciting as well. So that's my take. Thanks for tuning in. Please like our work below. We work really hard on this. And so we would appreciate a like. Find the like button, should be somewhere. And then subscribe to the channel. So there should be a ringing bell. It was in the beginning or it was at the end, but there should be a ringing bell. Leave a comment. Let us know what you think down below. Just leave the comment there. But if you don't want to leave a comment there, we will also answer you if you hit us up on our Twitter, @BowsThrowing. Again, it's @BowsThrowing is our Twitter handle. We'll answer you on YouTube or on our channel, or we'll answer you at Twitter as well. You leave the comment. We are very good about getting back. We love hearing from you. So with that, there's nothing else to say. That was my take on Air Jourdain. I think that he's here. I think that he's fights the fights that I would like to see. I'm interested to see who he fights next. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.